Alright, I think I'm live. Hey everyone, welcome to CSharp Walkthroughs. Just gonna be doing a little bit of quick housekeeping. How's everyone doing this evening? If you're in the UK, good evening to you all. To any fellow Americans, I think it's probably early evening for you guys too. I'm not too sure. I'm just gonna quickly share my link on my handle. I'm not dual screening, so I do apologize for the kind of clutteredness. I don't know why the link doesn't want to show. This has happened before. Let's try one more time. Maybe you're not allowed to post links directly. Yeah, it doesn't look like you can. You know what? I'll just have to do that later. Let me just quickly write something there. Sorry, guys. Maybe I'll just do my channel name. And then we'll jump straight into this. I think it's going to be quite an interesting topic that I want to cover today. There we go. So people can find the channel, I guess. Alright guys, sorry about that. Welcome to the channel, welcome to the video. My name is Will, and we're going to hop straight into this. I'll just answer this title. I need that. Shots live. Okay, my dashboard is there. I was there. Okie dokie. So in this particular workshop, I'm taking a little bit of a break from the video game series, and we're going to be coming back onto that. I want to touch upon quite a fascinating subject, in my opinion. It's quite a useful endeavor to, as a .NET developer, in my opinion, to embrace not just the core, should I say, C# side of things, but to also embrace other platforms and languages that kind of interact with to create a bigger picture for the stack, right? And so in this particular workshop, what I want to do is to just kind of explore via really simple examples today how you can basically connect to a SQL or SQL. I call it SQL. You can say SQL as well. A SQL/SQL server, or rather better said, database using C# logic. And yeah, I'm just gonna quickly brush through the notes so we can kind of get up to speed as to what I'm going to be doing today. It's going to be a really chilled live. It's quite late. A little bit tired, but we still press on. It's all good. I'm going to show you an example, and I'm going to show you, walk you through how to create the database, and I'll kind of lightly walk through the code. I already kind of prepared the source code, so I'm not going to be writing the source code live. I'll just kind of go through things to save time. I really, really want to make this about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. I don't want this stream to be too long. All right, so do excuse me. I have a little bit of a cough today, so I might be coughing here and there. So what is the idea here? So let's say at a very high level, you have, say, the need for an application. And you decide maybe it's in your work environment, maybe it's in your workplace, maybe you're required to create some kind of front for an in-house tool, let's say, for your business, for your company, if you're an employee, or so on, such and so forth. And you happen to be using the .NET stack, you happen to be using, say, UWP, WinForms. We're going to be looking at WinForms because it's a little bit easier to utilize this approach using WinForms. But let's just say using some .NET front, happens to be WinForms, for example, and you want to store data. Let's say, for example, you have users, you have clients. In this case, because I kind of like to dabble in video games, I have like a kind of a video game example. Excuse me. Even though the user front, the user interface has nothing to do with like video games, it's just literally an empty form with a button that when you click the button, I'm going to show you in a minute, you get access to a record in the SQL database. So let's just say this represents our kind of stack, our system, right? We have the front, but one thing I want to just kind of touch on, and I do disclaim, I'm not really going into this too much. The whole idea of CRUD, which is, I always forget what the R stands for. I do have a tab up here. Here we go. Create, insert, read. It's so easy to remember. I don't know. I forget. Read, update, and delete. And as it says here, quite rightly so, CRUD is an acronym. Just right here. That stands for create, read, update, and delete. These are four of the most basic operations that can be performed with most traditional database systems, and they are the backbone for interacting with any database. So I'm going to be kind of laying down the groundwork as to, like I said, how you can connect to a SQL database using C Sharp, and then obviously from there you can sort of implement more efficient ways of implementing CRUD-based operations. As it says here on the article, is basically the backbone of any kind of data access when you're talking about databases. But I'm going to be taking a lot of liberties here, just going to be showing you the core functionality. So we have our database, which I'm going to demonstrate to you guys in a minute. And what I decided to do here is have this kind of data access layer. So there's a layer that kind of sits between the form. If I just kind of go to my Solution Explorer, I do appreciate it's a lot to take in on my screen. It is quite cluttered, and I can't really zoom in on the panel itself. But I have this empty project, which I called CRUD_DA for data access. And I have another project in the solution. Again, this is a very simplistic example. We have two projects in one solution. It's a very simple example, saves time, but I just hope to convey the information across, if that makes sense. Do excuse me. Player game UI demo, which is not really a game of any capacity. It's just an empty form. In fact, I can just show it to you quickly. Empty form, get record, boom. You get a message box that shows you the record. If I quickly go to the code, there's only like one functionality in the main window, or is it called main window? Main form. So I haven't used WinForms in a while actually. I'm used to main window. Message box to show. I'm calling this controller class, get record data, and kind of passing some kind of class in the overload. So what I'm going to do, first things first, I'm going to actually show you what happens. I've made a table, an SQL database with a table, and one of the records is the name of, just a name, right? I'm going to just demonstrate because I'm talking a lot. I know this kind of doesn't make sense as it is because I'm explaining with my words, but as we go through, I'm going to show you how to make the database, I'm going to show you where this information is coming from, essentially. I just want to kind of give a little bit of context first, as it might help. So my computer is loading up now. Visual Studio is loading up. It shouldn't take too long, hopefully. Hopefully I ironed up the bugs. There was a few bugs, actually, because I had to kind of go through things. So it should work, hopefully, I guess, as I was on this. I'm going to click this button, get record. Hopefully there's nothing strange that happens. And it's really hard to see, but over here we have the name Carl. I inputted a record in the SQL database called Carl. I'm basically using C# logic to access this record in my database, and this Carl value isn't stored anywhere in my UI front. It's not stored anywhere in data access front. It's actually being accessed from the SQL database. So I'm going to show you guys how this is achieved, and I hope it shed a bit of light into what is possible as we start to embrace a little bit like more branches of the .NET stack to make more robust applications that can be more useful and valuable in the working world, in the business world, and even for personal use. So what we're going to do, I made a little bit of an agenda, a bit of a checklist here. So what we're going to do first, we're going to, for setting up the prototype stack, we're going to have to obviously create an SQL database. I'm going to show you guys how to do this from the start, but I'm not going to like kind of create a new one per se and write all the code again, but I'll show you how to do this. So what I'll do, we're going to first create an empty project type for C#. Now I really hope that as I create a new Visual Studio instance, that my computer just does not explode. I don't have a lot of resources right now, so quick disclaimer as well say, if the stream cuts, if there's lag, which I apologize for any lag, but if the stream does cut because sometimes my computer just spontaneously shuts down kind of thing, or just freezes, I will be up and running, just continue where we left off, okay? So what you want to do, I won't go through the ropes like one to one because it's really to save time. But I will show you exactly what to do from the point of view of a walkthrough. Create your new project. I decided to go for an empty project. This is, remember, we're creating the database. But the idea here is that I want to create a solution whereby the database resides in. And there's probably a multitude of better ways you can do this. But again, as the demonstration showed, this is just a quick way to get you up and running. You can kind of explore, get your feet wet, and then you can then go on to make much more compelling SQL databases of your servers, much more compelling than what I'm going to show you today. But this is just the basics, right? Anyway, so we're going to make an empty project. I have opted for my filters C#, Windows, and desktop. So empty project should be here somewhere. Keep scrolling. I think I missed it. Oh, there's one here on the side. So I've got the empty project .NET framework. Now I think it's quite important for your data access layer, I will explain why I opted for Windows form. It has something to do with the connection string, which is a value that you need to basically identify your SQL table, your SQL database. And WinForms made it a little bit easier to access this value, this information, data. So, but for now, you need to get empty project. You can hit next. Take a sip of my mocha. It's mocha today. Excellent. Give it a project name. Give it a location. You can. I have to just leave this unchecked. Set it as it is, basically default. I'm on the .NET Framework 4.7.2. Yours might differ. I'm not going to create this. It's going to take too much time. What you have basically, if I go to my crud_da, this is my empty project. For the sake of not clogging the screen, I'll just minimize this. Excuse me. So when you have your empty project, you'll be met with a screen kind of like this. It's gonna show up in a sec. Let me just go to it. Well, it won't look like this, obviously, because you won't have any members, you won't have any classes. But what you have to do, so when you have this, if you can see what I've highlighted here, your empty project, again, I do reiterate that you won't have any of these members, you won't have your own classes, you won't have your player profiles, MDF. What you want to do is create the database, right? So the best way to do this for me, in this simplistic example, is to then go to View. If you don't have already, it's the Server Explorer, so it's this one. And then under, I think it's Data Connections, let me see if I can get it right. Yeah, so because I'm kind of reverse engineering this in my mind, what you want to do, you want to I think it's right-click Data Connections, I'm not too sure. Okay, just so I can make sure I'm not getting you guys off track, I am going to make a new empty project. Because it's late, I'm a little lethargic, and I don't want to make mistakes. Even though it's going to take a little bit longer, but if I show you from scratch, it's going to be a little less confusing, I guess. Sorry about that, guys. Before I do that, let me just double check something. Yeah, okay, cool, no worries. Might as well do it from scratch. Empty .NET Framework, empty projects. We'll just call this demo. I thought I'd shave some time, but it's fine like this. Okie dokie, and again, hopefully I can keep to like that kind of time frame as well. We're on like 15 minutes already. It's just kind of a chill stream here, but I do want to get through all our agenda